And this is where we're staying. This is the entrance. We're in St. Moritz, and we came in here just a few minutes ago, and this is the place we're staying. We're staying at it's called the Kronenhof. It's a wonderful old hotel right in the Swiss Alps, and if you look out into the distance, there's still some snow up above. It's a beautiful place, spectacular views, and it's not raining here like it was in Italy. We drove up through the clouds, so they're starting to break up, it looks like, and I'm very happy to be here. But it's a great hotel, huge lobby, very comfortable looking, and we're going to be here for a few days. And then when the wedding is over, we head back to Italy, and we're going to Lake Maggiore. But this is this week's video. So what's going on in the art world? Well, here we are. It is Friday, let's see, October 29th, 2025, and this is the weekly video. And as you can see, I'm not coming to you today from Gloucester, where we normally are. We're over in St. Moritz, Switzerland. We're staying at this beautiful hotel, the Kronberg. Beautiful rooms. It's a five-star hotel, I guess, and it's all. We're here as the guests of the bride of the family who's marrying my wife's cousin. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a dinner party to go to tonight, I guess, and there'll be music, and then the services are tomorrow, and there's something else going on Sunday, and then we're leaving, and we're heading back down to Italy. We had a lovely drive up here. The drive is spectacular. Coming up into the Swiss Alps from Italy, from Lake Como, was absolutely breathtaking. I have to say, I now know why people go on about driving through the Swiss Alps. I've never been up here before, and the roads through the Alps are amazing, just spectacular. So if you ever have the chance, I urge you to take the drive. Do it; it's worth it. Anyway, there's a lot going on. As I mentioned, I've been saying over the summer, things are going to pick up in the fall, and they have. But before we get into the regular stuff and the things that sold last week, I want to talk a little bit about an auction that turned up in the last week and a half. We got a bunch of inquiries about it, and it's this sale here. This is a very strange situation. There's an auction coming up, and it's being held by A.J. Wilner. I don't know if you know them. They are in New Jersey. They are primarily a liquidation company, and they're handling the collection. It's a warehouse lien auction, as best as I can tell, of the Weisbrod collection of things that were apparently left behind. Michael Weisbrod. Weisbrod was a very prominent Asian art dealer for many years, and in New York, they've operated out of Hong Kong, and this auction turned up, and I got a bunch of inquiries from people wondering what this sale's about, because Wilner's not particularly, they're not known as antique auctioneers. They are sort of the commercial side of the business, where they do lien auctions, and they liquidate factories and heavy equipment and this sort of thing. And they've put together this sale. They've had one or two other sales over the last 3 or 4 years dealing with antiques or objects sort of out of their wheelhouse. And I wrote them a letter, an email, hoping to hear back from what the circumstances are, because the whole thing is rather mysterious. And there are some things, if you're looking at this sale, I want you to be a little bit careful about, because I noticed a number of the objects have drill holes in them that indicate they had Oxford TL tests done to them. And I've asked this auction house, do you have these TL tests? Because some of the pieces are fairly rare, and there's no mention of a TL test having been done on them in the listing at all. There's nothing. And some of the pieces Weisbrod owned for a long time. Some of them were in catalogs going back over 20 years ago, and it may mean that there's a problem with some of the pieces. I'm not sure. It's a very strange situation. The catalog is well written. They've done pretty good descriptions, I have to say. It sounds like they brought somebody in to assist them on it. I suspect they did because of the way it's written. So obviously they brought somebody in to guide them. But some of the pieces seem a little bit suspect. I'll just say it to my eye. And I'll leave that up to you. In particular, there's a piece in the sale. This thing, it's being sold as a late Jin dynasty with the tiger motif with the Zhang family stamp on it. The Zhangs were very well-known Zizhou decorators. And I looked at this, and this does not look like the work of that family, nor does the stamp. I don't the stamp that's on this. They did stamp their pieces, but this is not a stamp I've ever seen before from them. And the brushwork and the decoration does not align itself, that I can tell, with any of their previous stuff. There are examples of their work in the Metropolitan Museum. Lots of institutions have them, and the way it's drawn, it just doesn't look right to me. I'll just say it. But there are other things in here that look absolutely fine. And it may be a mix of things that Weisbrod had. They had them in storage. There were some good pieces. There were some pieces that were maybe didn't sell because they weren't what he thought they were. Who knows? This is one of the difficult parts of the business, of course, is sometimes dealers build up mistakes they bought, things that they bought based on photos, things that they bought they shouldn't have bought, and now it's all being liquidated. The other thing that's in this sale too that you might really enjoy is that there are a whole bunch of past auction catalogs and exhibition catalogs that they did of their things. And if you go through this listing, I'll scroll down to it. At the end, there is a mother load, but there's some good pieces in here, I think. There's some nice pieces. Early pottery. None of them are worth huge amounts of money. They're all sort of things, I would say, under 15,000 is the typical range for most of them. But there is at the end of the sale a whole lot of these catalogs, as you can see. He heavily published a lot of stuff over the years, but there are a lot of things in here that were in catalogs going back to 2003. Like this vase here, that's still there. So it does beg the question: why didn't it sell? Why didn't it sell back in the day? There's a lot of things that you're going to need to do some homework on before you spend any money on this. Now, I have asked them to write me and just tell me what the story is. I like some clarification. I'm trying to be fair to this auction house. Maybe it may be all completely it just happens to be a lien auction, which they do. Okay, auctioneers get called in. One of the best American furniture auctions I ever went to was a lien auction that was conducted in Beverly Farms, Massachusetts, of an estate that had been seized by the government because the owner of the estate at that time was going to prison, and he owed people a lot of money. He was a corrupt attorney, but there was stuff on the estate that was there when he bought it that had been left there by the previous family, and they owned amazing American antiques. Seymour furniture and that sort of thing, and it brought the world. Even though this guy had no idea what he had no idea what he was doing. He was in there. He put up a pair of chairs for could I get $200 for him? And they brought 25,000 because he didn't know. He didn't know. So it does happen from time to time. But this sale is just sort of a mystery to me, and I'm hoping to hear back from them. And when I do, I'll tell you what they said. I'll let you know what the verdict was. Okay, so that's all I can really say about it for now. And I'm over here, and there's not much I can do until I hear back. So there we go. Now on to some other things that happened this week. I've got the camera a little out of alignment today because I'm working. I don't have my digital, the camera I normally use at home, so I've got a portable camera on a tripod here, so I'm doing the best I can. So if I'm looking away to look at the screen, that's what's going on. So at any rate, but some of the pieces in this sale, before I go away, you have this is a very nice pair of Yongchen period. I believe they look absolutely fine as Yongchen to early Qianlong period ruby back plates. These are very nice. I don't see anything wrong with them. And they look completely legitimate, and I think the estimate is very low. They're estimated at $4,000 to $6,000 for the pair. They should bring $4,000 to $6,000 each. All right, I would think. All right, and we're going to go into some other things in a minute. Then there's this. Now this is a Zijou vase, leaping deer. They're dating it as Sung Dynasty. I'm not so sure about it. It looks awfully clean. I just somebody had asked me about it, and I wasn't terribly comfortable with it. And this here is one of the pieces that has the drill marks in the bottom, but there's no mention of a TL test anywhere in the listing, and there should be, because TL tests are expensive. And here it is. This was in a catalog that he published going back years ago. I think this was around 2004 or something. There it is. All right. Why didn't it sell? You've got to ask yourself these questions, and you got to get some more information on this pot. But it looks awfully clean to my eye. And the description said it was exhumed. I don't see any indications of that. That's just my view of it. All right. But there's a bronze here, a Zhao Dynasty bronze. It's in rough shape. It's not in great shape, but it appears to be okay. and so forth. So you want to go through it. You want to take a good look at everything. There's some decent Chinese porcelains in here, late Ming and that sort of thing. And there's a couple of, there's a Japanese Tetsube that's in the sale, and some other things. There's all kinds of stuff. You want to go through it, but just be a little bit careful. And as soon as I know more about the sale and the circumstances behind this auction, I'll let you know. All right, now over to some results for the week quickly. Somebody got a heck of a buy. I left a little bit on it just to keep track of it. I think I left a couple $100 on it. Was this very, very nice Suzani that was advertised as Turkish. Now, somebody got a great buy on this because these normally sell at auction pretty routinely for in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. And somebody picked this up for $450 plus premium. So some textile collector got very lucky on this. This was a really, really good buy. There were 23 bidders. I was thinking maybe it would take off at the end, but it didn't because people were looking at it, I think, assuming it was Turkish. All right, so there we go. This was at Able Auctions. It sold on the 27th of August. And then there was this rug that we talked about last week that wasn't having any interest in it at all. And I guess some of you might have gone over and put a bid on it because it was estimated at $200 to $300. They were selling it as Art Deco. It's not Art Deco. This was just a sort of a nice classic scroll and vine and flower pattern Chinese rug. I thought it was very, very nicely done. And in the end, it did just fine. It ended up going for $1,800 plus the premium, so around $2,300 all in. That's not bad at all. That was a perfectly fair price. And this was a big rug. It was 8 by 11, but it looked to be in quite good condition. This was also at Abel's on the 27th of this month. And then hopping along over to that very nice tureen and underplate. We talked about this last week because this is being sold by the Benefit Shop Foundation. And they had this, $20 to $40 estimate on it, as you can see here. And last week when we looked at it, there were only 3 or 4 watchers on it. And I felt, gee, that could be a bargain for somebody. I still think it went for a very, very reasonable price. It went for $300 plus premium, or around $400 all done. This was a heck of a nice piece of late 18th century export ware with this very desirable gilding pattern on it. And as we talked about last week, there was another one very similar to it that's in a service of porcelain that was up for sale over in the UK. Nearly identical, if not identical, tureen. These do turn up once in a while. I don't know why they didn't give it a better date, because I think they know. Maybe they thought the gilding indicated that it was done later or something, and it threw them off on the dating. I'm not sure. But in the end, it ended up with 36 bidders. By Saturday morning last week, after we talked about it, I think it was up to about 25 or 30 bidders. It picked up a few more during the week, and it sold on the 27th for $300 plus premium. All right, and then over here to this was the Freeman sale. This was a good little auction. They had some nice China trade pieces in it. This was on the 26th of last week, and these were two pair of vases in this sale, and they did just fine. These were pretty big. These were. Let's see here. These were the height of the vases were 17 inches apiece. These were quite large. And these big pieces do turn up once in a while. Sometimes they turn up even bigger, 22, 23 inches. Now, these were good size. I don't know what the condition of them were. I don't know if they had restorations or repairs. They often do. But these have been lamped, so they at least stood a pretty good chance of going a while without getting too much damage. Lamps, once they're lamped, tend to stay put. People put them in a place and they leave them there for 40 years, and they don't get moved around a heck of a lot like vases do, so they tend not to get broken as much. But this was a nice pair, and you'll notice on the back they weren't drilled. These were left undrilled. So if you wanted them as vases to put on a mantle, you could certainly do it. And if you want to keep them as lamps, they're elegant as lamps. They're beautiful, and they're very big. These were nice big vases, and they were measuring. They were 26 inches tall with the fittings. So these were large table lamps, and I don't think $3,500 was bad for them. $3,500 plus the premium, so you're in at around $4,500. $2,200 a piece for the great big ones, and ones of this size are quite rare. For every 20 or 30 you see that are in the 12-inch range, you might see one in this size. So the ratio of rarity is considerable to them, and they were nicely decorated with that white ground. I thought they were good. And then this was at Freeman. Heinemann had a sale, and they had this. This was a nice lot. This was also another set of these 18th century, not too dissimilar vases from the last one, and a couple of plates. And they ended up going for $1,100 plus the premium. All right, that seemed pretty reasonable. And then hopping along over to this was that bowl, the make do repair bowl. This was a fascinating thing. I thought this was really interesting. This was at Freeman Heinemann. This had been online. They advertised this sale quite far in advance. It was on the 26th. And it's a Kangxi bowl, and it's a large Kangxi bowl. It was 13 inches in diameter. But it had a restoration on it done in silver, as you can see here, with the date of the restoration, because the bowl is Kangxi, but it was restored in 1755 during the Qianlong period. And it was a restoration bowl given by Lady Oliphant of Gasque. That was the thing on the reverse side. It was engraved with the McGregor coat of arms motto and so forth. This was a really interesting piece of porcelain, and it did very well in the end. It was only estimated $1,500 to $2,500, and with the buyer's premium, it ended up going for just about $8,000, way over the estimate, almost three times plus a little over the estimate, because of, I think, that repair. And the size of the bowl didn't hurt it at all either. It was a big bowl, but the silver repair is a very interesting historic aspect to it, big part of its life now. And I think it's absolutely great that the owner back then had the foresight and the taste to add that restoration in that way, that repair. All done in silver. Beautiful. And then over to this is a reminder. Tomorrow is the Thomaston Place sale up in Maine. There's a number of things in there. There's some good export pieces. There's some carpets. There's all kinds of stuff in that sale. A fellow named Kaja Vayu runs that auction house. I've known him over the years. He's a good guy. He's a bit of a character, I have to say. But he gets good stuff. He handles good estates. He took over a lot of the auction business up in Maine when Jimmy Julia decided to retire and step away from the business when his wife became ill many years ago. Kaja had been there before. Thomaston Place and Julia were always in competition. And Jimmy Julia decided to step away from the business because of family issues. He did the right thing. And Kaja ended up, just everybody started going to him. So Thomaston Place now gets a lot of good auctions on a yearly basis. It's a very good auction house. And then over to this is Luxor down in New York at Queens. Has a sale coming up on the 31st, the day after tomorrow. There's a very nice grisaille decorated page. It looks like Joseph on it. It's a religious place. Wait a minute, SSV Mon. I don't know who that is. I don't know. There's a name under it, but I don't know who it is. But it might be a rare plate. This might be a very rare plate, but it's beautiful grisaille decoration. It looks like it's in good shape, and it looks legit. So there's another one, another grisaille plate, and there's another grisaille plate coming up here. Now this is a little auction house. They've only done a few. They're in Newark, Delaware, Coup Gallery Auctions, and they sell. It looks like they do sort of clean outs. It appears to be sort of a mom and pop auction house, the way they do their photos. If you look at them, you'll know what I mean. They don't have a great lighting setup yet or anything like that, but I think that they're doing a good job. And they said we can offer affordable and reliable packing and shipping all over the world for most items and save 10%. So they're fairly new, and they seem very keyed into the shipping issue on Live Auctioneers. I'd go over and give them a look. Well, all the stuff will be on the global pages by tomorrow. I plan on getting up tomorrow because we're over here. We're 6 hours ahead of everybody over in the U.S. right now, so we'll have it updated. And we did the Patreon. Those are the Patreon subscribers. If you looked at your email this morning, you probably got a Patreon email on the some of the stuff we added over there, the catalogs we've added, and that new format for the Antiques Gazette, putting it in readable fashion over on like a book. On there, you'll notice that the email probably came in at about 3 o'clock this morning because I did it at 9 o'clock this morning here. So don't be confused. I'm not back in the U.S. doing updates at 3 in the morning for 2 in the morning. Anyway, there's this grisaille plate with gilding, the European scene. This looks like a heck of a nice plate. This looks like a really good Chinese export plate to me. So it looks like it's about 9 inches in diameter or so. Is there a repair on it? Did I just see a repair go by? Hold on, we gotta go back. Nope, it's not. It's just the light. It's a seam in the paper behind it. Okay, I saw that and I thought that was a repair for a second. No, this looks like a nice 18th century plate. It's got a very modest estimate, $300 to $500. It's at $25 starting price. 3 bidders are watching it right now, And this sale is on September 6th, so it's a little over a week away from now. This plate is just a hair under 9 inches, 8.8 inches. But I think this is, if you're a China trade collector, you want to look at this. This is a very nice example. And the gilding looks to be in spectacular condition, so check that out. And then also some Nanking cargo plates. There are 3 of them, 9 inches in diameter, but there are 3 of them. And those of you that collect Nanking cargo wares, these appear to be in quite good condition. Some of the Nanking stuff was in very, very good condition. I remember the sale when it happened. I know a bunch of people that went over to it, and I bought some things from people that went to it and so forth. Carl Crossman went to it, the famous China trade guy who's a friend of mine. He went over and bought up a storm. He bought all kinds of stuff. It was a very interesting auction. It was historic. And but there's some very nice plates. And if you're a Nanking porcelain buyer, this one has a little nick out of the rim, which they're showing, and so forth. Estimated for all 3, $350 to $550. Seems reasonable. You want to check that out. And then over to this. This is coming up at Doyle's down in New York on September 9th. There's a couple of nice pieces of Satsuma, heavily gilded Satsuma. There's this Koro. This is a small Koro. It's about 5 or 6 inches tall, as I recall. I think it is. Let's check. 5.5 inches tall. Yeah, it's a small Koro, but it's very nicely done. And it's signed on the bottom. Very, very good. I don't see any wear to the gilding on it. It looks fine. So do check that out. And it is signed by Hodada with the Shimazu clan mark on it. So it's got all the right pedigree stamped into the bottom. You can see it's all right there. It's upside. No, it's right side up. There we go. So you can see that. And then there's another one. This is a pair of food dogs with vases on their backs. Now, there was one of these that turned up a few weeks ago. You may recall. There was just one of them. Now it was at another auction house. This is at Doyle's. Now there are 2 here, and it's got the Shimazu Dai Nihon Hozan family mark on it. They measure 5 inches tall each. They're estimated at $1,000 to $1,500 with a $500 starting price. Sounds reasonable. These are nice. These are very elegant. And it's a pair, and pairs are always good. You put them on your mantle, put them on a pair of bookshelves. They look great, and so go that way. All right. And now, what else is going on over here? There's this sale. This sale has popped up. Now, Oakridge has a sale coming up. And my personal view is Oakridge sells some good things. They're down in Virginia. But they also take some stuff in they shouldn't take in. So you want to be a little bit careful. They do have reproductions in some of their sales. But they also sell some good things. So they have some decent consigners. And then they sometimes allow things in I don't think they should let in. All right, but there's a few things that look pretty good. This flambe decorated bladder form, they call these bladder form vases, looks pretty good. It's got a chin lung mark on it. It looks legit. It's estimated at $10,000 to $15,000 with a $5,000 opening bid. I think that looks okay. I looked at this pretty carefully. The bottom of it looks good. The glaze looks good on it. The shape looks right. The mouth looks fine. The bottom looks fine. That's how they often look like this, with these creamy burnt areas on them. And the mark isn't always that readable. If you even go through the Palace Museum collection in Taiwan, where they have a bunch of these, you'll often see this almost identical bottoms on it. All right. The National Palace Museum in Taiwan, Taipei, has a better website than the Palace Museum in Beijing does. Just so you know, if you want to go look things up, they're more inclined to show the bottoms of things, the sides, the fronts, the backs, and they are linked off of Bitamount over on the Bitamount site in the museum section. So you can check it over there. It's a good place to look things up. They have very good photography. All right, and then over to this. This is also at Oakridge. This is a huge basin, or I don't know what they're calling it. They're calling it a blue and white jar. It's not a jar. It's a basin, or it's almost like a bathtub. But I think it's actually a planter. It's quite large though. It measures. This is big. Measures 12 inches in height and 24 inches in diameter. So I suppose it could be used as a tub. I don't see a drain hole on it though, so I think it's just a giant planter. But it's very well done. Looks to be an early 19th century one. The bottom of it looks good. I don't see any cracks to it. The decoration is good. It's got nice landscape scenes, wave borders. This decoration looks fine. There's early 19th century, possibly late 18th. I'm more inclined to think 19th. It's estimated at $15,000 to $18,000 with a $7,500 opening price. I think 15 to 18 is a little bit of a reach for it, but I think 7 to 10 is pretty reasonable. it's a very big piece of porcelain. This thing is 2 feet in diameter and a foot tall. So it's a great big one, and it's sort of unusual. So if you've been looking for something really interesting, that might be one of them. And then there's this great big sacrificial blue ground and cobalt decorated late Qing dragon jardiniere. This is also obviously a planter. Sometimes they call them fish tanks, but it's nicely done. And it's 18 inches tall, 18 inches wide, 21 inches tall. So this is another big one. And I think this is elegant looking. And the gilding is in exceptionally good condition. The gilding on this is really, really tight. And this is not this is not a modern piece. It looks like an old piece to me. But it's late Qing, 1890s, 1900, somewhere in there, give or take 10 years. But the decoration on it is very well done. The dragon is well drawn. The cobalt ground has the nice variations that you want to see. The finial rose decoration looks good. There's just tiny, tiny bits of wear here and there, but nothing particularly noticeable. You want to check though for, get a hold of them for a condition report. Make sure it hasn't been, a crack or a chip or something put back in. But they're showing quite a few photographs of it, and so far it looks pretty good. But I would always suggest with porcelain, always get a condition report. But there's the bottom of it. That rings true as a late Qing example. It's very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. Been looking for a great planter for your living room or for a veranda or something to put a giant plant in. This is it. This is a great looking thing. All right. And then they also have this nice looking 19th century. They're saying early 19th century. I would just stick with 19th century. It could be mid. There's no way. But it's a tea dust bowl. It's a nice one. Brush washer. It's not huge. It's about 8 inches in diameter. And but it has a very nice glaze on it. And it looks legitimate. It looks fine. The glaze isn't overly shiny. The bottom of it, hold on, we'll get to it in a second. There it is. It's got that slightly tilted in, flat, wide bottom on it. Looks absolutely okay from what I'm seeing. And the estimate on it is $1,000 to $1,500, which is very reasonable today. The $500 starting price. And what else is going on? I think that's it. That was it. All right. I can't go on too much because I've got a bunch of things we need to do here. And I'm going to I'll shoot some pictures as things go along here and share the landscape and whatnot and whatever I can. It's good to be over here. It's good to get out. And we had a very nice meal, by the way, last night on Lake Como, right next to the hotel where we were staying on the lake. Very nice place. And slept like a rock. We were exhausted after a day of travel, of course, because we flew into Milan and then we drove up for a couple hours up to the lake, and by then it was midday, and in your 6 hours ahead over here. So by the time the afternoon came, we were all ready for naps and took naps and rested up. Went out next door and had some nice dinner. Went back to the hotel, relaxed for a bit, went to bed, and got up early this morning and off, and then drove up into the Alps, which was about an hour and 45-minute drive from where we were staying. And it was quite a drive, as I said at the beginning. So anyway, here we are. All right, so we'll be in touch, and thanks for watching as always. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.